Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 91 today for the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 5. You guys did miss the previous episode then, the Monaco Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But headed into Canada then, we do have that ultimate drag reduction update, and also the front downforce, so that is going to be a big update for us, and we're going to move into second place on the performance standings there, just behind Renault, who improve as well, along with us in the same trajectory actually, with McLaren and Red Bull now plateauing for actually quite the last 3 episodes there, I think, just about. So both of them move down the order. Red Bull, obviously the leaders really in everything, the drivers and the constructors, but they're now the 4th best team. And coming to Canada, this might be a track where they struggle out. Obviously in a straight line, they're not being the best. They've yet to really upgrade that department of their car pretty much the entire 4 seasons of this career mode so far. So looking forward to hopefully bouncing back even more. We did that at Monaco pretty damn well, with Ricciardo not scoring at Monaco and me getting that small alert second place, so that was a good move in a correct direction for us in that race, obviously trying to make up for what happened in Spain. And so here at Canada, one of my favourite circuits on the calendar, hoping to do more of that pretty much. And so we're going to make our way through Q1 into Q2, very overcast conditions, and like Monaco, there might be some rain involved in qualifying here, but it might come a little bit earlier in Q2 actually. So in Q2 now at the moment, gone early and making sure we can get a lap time in before, but Gasly going well with the Toro Rosso gang, looking pretty good in a straight line there. I've got to say though, the car feeling really comfortable around Canada. Monaco, I don't know if you guys could tell on the video, but I definitely felt very uncomfortable around Monaco. I don't know what it was really. The car felt like I had a lot of understeer and wasn't really gripping too much mid-corner, but around here in Canada, apart from that little twitch of oversteer on the last corner, the car was very flowing around here. Every corner felt really, really good, and we could carry the speed I wanted to. And so we come through, we're in P9 at the moment there, and I would be worried, but you can see now in this second run, it is already starting to rain. It's we've got a long time left in the session there, so I was very perplexed by the rain, because the indicator said it was going to come later on, again like in Q3, like it did at Monaco, but it actually decided to fall a lot earlier in the middle of Q2. So fortunately for me, that is going to mean that no one else can really go any faster, and so we are going to make it into Q3 on that one run, which means we have 2 sets of new Hypersoft tyres to use in the top 10 shootout. And also as a bonus, you can see there, for the second time now in a row, Daniel Ricciardo has been knocked out in Q2. So Mr. Consistency, podium position, 3 second places in a row, then the win at Spain, and now 2 races in a row he's knocked out in the second part of qualifying there. So this is exactly what we need, exactly what the entire grid in the top 10 needs, in terms of, Ricciardo was looking like he was running away with it, for a second there with the amount of consistency he's had. So I don't know what it is. Confidence shot a little bit after a bad Monaco Grand Prix, and he doesn't perform around here. But like I said, both Red Bull cars, Verstappen makes it through, but I expect them not to have too much race pace, because in Slipstream, I think the Renault, Toro Rosso, McLaren, and hopefully us now with the drag reduction update, will be very good in the race. So yeah, very peculiar development there in terms of this season right now, but obviously I'm not complaining. It's where we want to be. So now we move into Q3, which is very overcast. I thought for a second there the rain was going to spill over into this top 10 shootout, but not the case. It's just, the clouds are still parting a little bit there. So we come through to finish our first lap. I was very actually happy with that. We go provisional pole position, but then obviously by the time we go through this session and start our second flying lap, we're down to what is going to be P2 at the moment there, with Gasly having gone faster, which surprised me, but it looks like the Toro Rossos genuinely have some really good pace here, with Vettel right behind me then in P3. But we go again, and immediately already trying to gain some time in the first sector. And by the time we come through to the last sector, through the hairpin, gaining nearly a second now on our last lap. So the sun is out, and so the track's warmed up a little bit, and so that's going really well at the moment there. We're down to P4 though, P5 actually as it is we've now got Nico Hülkenberg going fastest of all on provisional pole for now. Vettel was behind me on track, so let's see if both us Ferrari cars can improve there. Chucking it through the last chicane, lost a little bit of time, but not too much. 9/10 gains across the line, but despite that, we're only P6. Really surprised by that, because we gained, nearly a whole second or more, and we're only P6 then. So, yeah, a bit of a shock to the system there. Carlos Sainz, in the end, gets on pole position. Vettel in second place. Gasly with a really great P3 there. So we have some work to do in the race, but I don't think that's our true true pace. I think we could have matched Vettel, and we could have been on for a front row, near pole position. I just don't know what it was. I think that the way the track heated up a little bit, I probably could have gained even more time on that lap. Maybe I was a bit too timid or something like that, but I think we can have a much better race, I think, from P6, and obviously Slipstream is going to be a very powerful tool, and hopefully with that drag reduction update we've come to the circuit with, hopefully we'll notice that in a straight line as well. You know, we're running quite low aero on the rear wing. I think 4 rear wing there's I think most I could get away with, so I think I'm feeling confident for Sunday. So let's get into the grid then, and then go to this race.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. With top speeds of around 210 miles per hour heading into the overtaking opportunity of turn 13, the 2.7 miles of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve are some of the quickest on the Formula One calendar. There are 14 corners in total, with 60% of the lap taken at full throttle, and average lap speeds clock in at about 130 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Toro Rosso. They've had one retirement in the last 5 races. What do you think that says about the reliability of their car?
It's a good statistic for sure, as it demonstrates not only mechanical reliability, but consistency from both drivers as well. These are 2 of the first boxes you have to tick for any successful season.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg, the engineer, Alonso, Leclerc, Van Dorn and Daniel Ricciardo, Ericsson, Ocon, Sergio Perez and Magnussen, Grosjean, Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll. Hartley and Sergei Sirotkin rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right, so here we are on the grid then alongside Nico Hülkenberg in P6. No penalties ahead of us, but there was one behind, so Ricciardo's does jump up 1 place to P10. So he's now in the top 10 on the starting grid and has a free choice of tyre. So let's see. Unlike Monaco, you can pass around here, so Ricciardo might make a pretty good comeback here with this slipstream there, but of course the Red Bull's not too great in a straight line. Strategy-wise then for us today, a 2-stop with 2 sets of hyper-soft tyres and 1 set of ultras, but that might change depending on the scenario of the race. But let's just get into this then and try and make up for a bit of a disappointing Saturday as we go to 5 red lights to the Canadian Grand Prix, and we're underway for 35 laps here around Montreal. It's a bit of a sluggish start there, really bogging down in 2nd and 3rd gear. They're having to go defensive on Fernando Alonso as Verstappen now side by side with Hülkenberg as he tries to get around the outside. But look at that up ahead, it's going to be Sebastian Vettel, I think that is our teammate, up into 1st place down the inside of that chicane, and he's overtaking Carlos Sainz, squeezes him out. Gasly in 3rd place there trying to follow behind. Hülkenberg has got Verstappen, and we will do the same as well. Big dive bomb on the Dutchman there. He doesn't have too much grip at this stage of the race. We find ourselves around the outside and we're up into P5, so a very good getaway then for both Ferrari cars in the end after initially being slow. But there you go, Sebastian Vettel leads the Canadian Grand Prix. Great stuff there from the front row of the grid. Managed to jump Sainz into turn 1, I think that was, and eventually got the job done on that chicane. But yeah, Sainz 2nd place, Gasly still 3rd, and we are chasing after very rapidly in P5 on that P4 Nico Hülkenberg. And meanwhile behind, Alonso's slipstreaming Verstappen there. He's going to go for a move on the outside of the last chicane. Verstappen will go defensive. They're going to slow each other up quite a fair bit through the last corner, but Alonso does get that just by a nose there, and he's up into P7. Meanwhile, on to lap 2, Vettel with a fast lap of the Grand Prix, and we're going to dive one down the inside of Hülkenberg to try and get up the order and try and mix it with Vettel later on if we can, but first we need to overtake 3 cars here, and Hülkenberg is pretty good on the defensive drive and line in turns 1 and 2, so for now we have to stay put in P5 there, but we're going to try 2nd time lucky here, hopefully, through the last chicane. Now on to lap 3, DRS will be enabled on this next lap, but hopefully I can get this move done before then as Vettel goes fastest again, as once again we try and overtake Hülkenberg into turn 1 and 2. We'll be on the outside, but this time we're a lot further alongside him than we were last time, and so we can try and get the elbows out on the traction there, get the power down. Hülkenberg goes really defensive, but we're going to make a long play and just about managed to thread our car through there. That was a really risky move there, because Hülkenberg could have definitely turned in on us and pushed us off onto the grass there, so just about made it. So now we move on to lap 7 now, a few laps later, and now the top P4 really in a world of their own. As you can see on the minimap there, Hulkenberg is nowhere near us, and he's now fending off Fernando Alonso. But you can see they're doing a few changes on their heads-up display, because we're going to pit this lap then and try and get an undercut on Gasly, Sainz and Vettel there. I felt like I had the pace, but the dirty air from Gasly, I just couldn't get close enough to him to really make a pass on the Toro Rosso. It was pretty damn good in the acceleration zones, obviously, as we know from the last season or two. So we're on for a set of ultra soft tyres now. So I've switched the strategy around, because we were going to go hyper, ultra. I'm now going to go hyper, ultra, and then hyper at the end, or we might switch it to another set of ultras, because I'm pitting a lot earlier than these guys, you know, at least 2-3 laps here. So taking a risk on that for maybe some dividends in terms of the kind of clean air we're in. Thankfully, we just get ahead of Sergio Perez, so literally the perfect place we've come out on track. Although saying that, our car is going quite well at the moment. So lap 9 onto lap 10, we're catching up to Ericsson now, so we have got some traffic, so we need to make this move really count now down the inside of this Swede, very close there, and we really pinch him into turn 2. A little bit of contact made though, but we had to make that move stick, and so now we're up into P10, closing up on Dan Ricciardo, actually our championship rival, who pits in this lap. So Ricciardo and Red Bull not going very well at Montreal. They're actually really slow, because we caught up Ricciardo before he even made his pit stop. And now look at this, into turn 1 we are going to be ahead of Sebastian Vettel, and you know what that means? We've done a triple overtake on the undercut. The undercut has worked supremely, because now it's a 1-2 for Ferrari, myself, Sebastian Vettel, Carlos Sainz now down to 3rd, and Gasly behind in P4. So what an amazing undercut that has been, and so an inspired decision to come in that early. But like I said, because we came in literally 3-4 laps earlier, it will mean we might need to switch this to a 2 set of ultras rather than using another set of hypers, because I don't actually have a new set of hypers left. The hypers I would go on would be an old set that I've used in qualifying, so they might already have a few percentage points of wear on them already. So we'll have to watch out for that and try and see how that goes. But at the moment, like I said, the two Red Bulls really struggling here. Ricciardo still behind Van Dorn for the bottom points in the top 10 there. So really good afternoon this will be if we can try and stay on the podium here, and Ricciardo once again is way down the order. But now as we go through this Grand Prix, Vettel now under pressure from Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly, as the three of them go 3 wide into turn 1. Absolutely amazing scenes there. The Toro Rosso going the long way around, and look at that, Gasly with a push through there, and he's forced his way past Pierre Gasly with a double overtake there. Absolutely inspired overtake there by the Toro Rosso man, and Carlos Sainz also makes the overtake on Vettel. So in a split second, Vettel goes from P2 to P4, so definitely acting as my rear gunner at the moment here. But now you can see Gasly is trying to vie for the move on Sainz, so Sainz has got past him actually at this point as we move on through the laps rapidly in this stint, and Vettel will now go for the pass to try and get back up into P3 minimum here down the inside of the Frenchman there, a little bit close, and they're going to make some contact there. Can Vettel make it stick on the outside there? I think the Toro Rosso has a bit too much acceleration though off that corner, unfortunately for him, so I think Gasly is going to remain in P3, but Vettel surprises me, and he actually makes the move to the inside. I genuinely thought the Toro Rosso was going to have that then, because he was so much further ahead, but Vettel got the elbows out on the front right tyre, kind of made a bit of a gap for himself basically down the inside of the chicane. And so meanwhile Sainz P2, and I've been pretty much relaxing at this stage of the Grand Prix as those guys were scrapping away, but now Carlos Sainz is in clean air. He's going to hustle and harry me here, and he's actually going to go for the move for P1 here. He's caught up real rapid time, of course the Renault on paper the fastest car on the grid, and so in clean air Sainz really can get a move on here, and as I try and desperately get the power down off the hairpin, he's just going to get the acceleration. They're so much faster. He's up into P1, and we're going to stick behind and try and rear overtake him. Maybe he's got the DRS, because his car was actually behind the detection point, so a little bit annoying there, but we still are going to try and make this move back into P1. Overtake mode working a treat there on our ERS, and we are just about narrowly missing the Wall of Champions there. We're still neck and neck, and look at that acceleration coming back in for the Renault there. He's on the inside, we're on the outside, but we'll be on the inside for turn 2. We're going to try and make our car as wide as possible on the exit and really squeeze him towards the curbing there on the left hand side. We're going to have the inside line for the chicane. Going to have to make sure we brake as late as we can down the inside. We are going to get that, and we're up into P1 once again, but Sainz really putting on the pressure there. Now, the first time I felt like the race was in jeopardy there, because for that most of that second stint, whilst he was fighting with Gasly and Vettel, it was a pretty comfortable time, but clearly now Renault flexing its muscles a little bit more. As we move through lap 20 to 21, Vettel's going to make a pit stop then, and I think that's going to be my cue to come in on the next lap, and so we are going to convert to 2 sets of ultras. Going to use a clean set of ultra soft tyres. I'd rather do that and keep track position, then stretch this stint, and then go on to a set of hypers. I think the undercut is so powerful there that I can't risk it. I can't risk staying out on these ultras and basically doing what I did at Monaco and letting Vettel go through, maybe. And at the same time, we're also covering off Carlos Sainz as he pits in also for a set of Ulsoft tyres. So we're going to be on the same set of tyres as everyone, really. So we haven't lost out, actually, because we did most of the hard work in stint 2, trying to stay ahead of everyone on Hypersoft tyres. Looks like maybe just a bit more tyre on our car, and also just about I don't have that clean set of Hypersoft tyres to use. So we're going to come out now just ahead of Sebastian Vettel, and look at that, Vettel has jumped Carlos Sainz. So it's a good undercut for Vettel then, and so once again in this Grand Prix, it is a 1-2 for Ferrari there. Really nice to see, and like I said in qualifying, looks like our car is just working really well, and good to see Vettel jump them. So I was correct. If I had stayed out any longer, Vettel would have jumped me, and also probably Sainz would have jumped me, so I would have been down to P3 probably in a net position there. So very good decision, but now Vettel is very, very rapid there on those warm tyres. On the outside he goes. We're going to have to go very defensive, lock up on the front right. We just about managed to give Vettel enough room and also remain in P1, but he might go for another pop into the hairpin, so he goes super defensive into the hairpin. He's going to be the outside. He tries his best, but we're going to scrub off the speed and go a little bit wide, but little did I know that was unfortunately a bit too much maybe for Vettel's liking, because now he's side by side with Carlos Sainz, and Sainz got a good run and he might be back up into P2. So unfortunately there, as I tried to defend my position just to keep P1, I didn't want to really make sure that Vettel lost P2, but it looks like he might just do that, as there's a big lockup for Sainz though. And actually, you know what, I don't think he might. I think Vettel's going to keep that, because Sainz is now down to P4, so a bad mistake for the Spaniard, and so Vettel gets very lucky there and gets to keep his P2. It's Gasly in the Toro Rosso up into P3, who's having a fantastic Grand Prix here at the moment. It might just go for P2 now in this Grand Prix as we go on through this race. Around the outside he goes. Can he make this work? He's going to have to plant the power down and hope Vettel doesn't get such a good exit there. He's alongside. Who's going to be the later breaker? Gasly last time out couldn't make this work, and it looks like that's going to be the case again as Vettel just about maintains P2 there. But a big old train now. Vettel, Gasly, Sainz, Hulkenberg, and also Fernando Alonso there in the background as Sainz now tries to go around the outside, and he's done it. He pulled off a fantastic move there, and so Sainz up into P3, and Hulkenberg now might try and overtake Gasly. So Gasly, after initially being so good in the little stage of this Grand Prix now, he's faltering a little bit. I don't know if he's saving a lot of ERS at this stage of the race, but he's really falling back now because Hulkenberg is on the outside. It's 2x2 now, as also look at that behind. Verstappen opportunistic there, catching Alonso napping on the outside of the hairpin there, but Ricciardo, let's talk about him, he's nowhere to be seen. So I think our championship leader might be in a bit of trouble here points-wise in the championship. So this could be a very good race for us and an outcome in the championship after this race is over, but still they go on 2x2, and Gasly with a big lock-up and just about maintains his place against Hulkenberg there, and that's seeming to be a bit of a pattern here. Really a lot of bunching up there in the hairpin, but now we move on to lap 25. 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. All is calm in my world. It's still a really nice 1-2 here for Ferrari, but behind there's yellow flags, and look at the minimap. Vettel has slowed down there. He goes downhill. The Sainz is now P2, Gasly P3, and I thought at the time of the retirement it was an engine failure or a mechanical failure for Vettel, and he just parked up there on the right hand side into the hairpin. But little did I know what I was about to witness on the replay camera is Sebastian Vettel was taken out by the lapped car of the Williams. That was a blue flag situation there, but Vettel straight on slams into the rear of the Williams car, clean shreds off his left front tyre there, and parks it up with obviously no kind of, decision to park it up there on the right hand side on the grass. And so that is how he went out of the Grand Prix. And then on lap 27 we have another yellow flag there in the same part of the track there, and I saw a blue dot going very slowly, so I thought maybe one of the Red Bull cars of Verstappen maybe out of this Grand Prix with an engine failure for their own. So finally maybe Red Bull get a bit of reliability. It's going to be Daniel Ricciardo. He is out of the Grand Prix, so if we come through to win this, we could be in the lead of the championship. And look at this, it is a T-bone collision spin around, and it's the same lapped car of the Williams. A lapped car has just taken out two people of this Grand Prix, because it doesn't look like Ricciardo's in a major issue. He actually just had a little bit of a half spin, but then kept on going, but then he parks up there, and so I guess he had mechanical damage from that collision there. And actually, ironically, we catch up to a Williams car. I'm not sure if this is the same one. It might have been Sorokin, but we catch up to Stroll. And so I was very nervous because a Williams car has already taken out two people of this Grand Prix who are in the top 10. So I was feeling a little bit nervous because also you got Carlos Sainz right behind me who's been closing on quite rapidly in clean air with 4 laps to go. And so we take it nice and easy. He couldn't overtake him in the chicane with a dive bomb there. So have to wait until the exit. And so Sainz does close up somewhat even more now as we catch up to more lapped cars of Leclerc. So could the lapped cars play a big part in this race here. Let's see as we move on through lap 33. We overtake Leclerc, but Sainz now is so close. He's got the proximity arrow there right behind me. He's got DRS, and so with 2 laps to go, this could be very nervous times. We move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix then. Carlos Sainz and myself separated by literally a few tenths here on the last lap of the Grand Prix. And we know how good that Renault is in acceleration terms, and off that chicane, a chicane where I've always been poor on Montreal, Sainz going to get a good run on the outside there. We have to go very defensive and just about leave him enough room to make it work, and so we remain in P1, but now he's got a good run again to the hairpin, and so we go super defensive to the inside. Sainz now with a big old dive on the outside, and now will this be the same way it happened last time? Sainz did get the move done on the outside there, but I got him back with this slipstream there. We make a bit of contact, so it's getting a little bit frosty on the last lap of the Grand Prix. A little bit of collision there, warning, but we're rich mix, we're overtake mode. We don't have DRS. Sainz actually had DRS, but we make a big old dive on the outside in the last corner of the last lap of the Grand Prix with low fuel as well. We're lean mixture to the line, and we are going to come through to take the win at the Canadian Grand Prix on the last lap in some great style in the chicane. And so you guys know, for the 3rd time this season, there's nothing more to say about grazie ragazzi, forza Ferrari.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So that's our 3rd win this season. Absolutely amazing feeling here to do it at one of my favourite Grand Prix circuits on the calendar. And with Daniel Ricciardo out of this race, we are going to take the lead in the Drivers' World Championship. So how about that? We went from being disqualified at Spain, being 34 points or so, behind Ricciardo. And in 2 races, we've turned it around. Ricciardo with no points in Monaco, DNF here at Canada. The F1 gods have been very kind to us, and so somehow this topsy-turvy season gets even more crazy there, because I thought we had a lot of work to do. I thought it was going to take, 6 races at least to try and bring this back maybe to Ricciardo, but we've done it in 2 races. Absolutely amazing turnaround there, and hopefully my team are going to be very happy about that, because also we take the lead in the Constructors' Championship ahead of Red Bull Racing, as they scored really poorly around Montreal. So a good day in the office for the team, and also for me as an individual driver. Absolutely awesome. So let's go to that final interview then, and we can be very happy with our answers.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. How are you feeling after that win?
Got to compliment the aero department, of course, with the ultimate drag reduction update. The front downforce update obviously worked a real big treat here this weekend, and worked, clearly to our advantage here in a straight line.
You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy?
Again, with this question, I'm going to take the opportunity to kind of build up the reputation of the aero department and compliment them again on the right-hand side there with that answer.
You must be happy with the result today.
Didn't really know where to go with this answer. I wanted to be a bit of showmanship, but I know the right-hand side answer is sportsmanship in the end, even if it does sound a bit egotistical. So I'm going to go with the bottom answer there, and that ends up actually complementing the durability of the car somehow.
You're leading the championship. Are you happy to be there, or feeling the pressure?
And then you guys know me, when it comes to this question, I always answer it the same way. We take it piece by piece. It's only one race, and we have plenty more races to go, so let's not get ahead of ourselves too much there.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And so even with the reputation increase there with Ferrari, with that last part of the question there, the bar is still pretty low there on Ferrari, despite getting another win here. So like I said many times before, we probably might need to get a streak of wins, or just at least keep on doing something like this where we're beating Vettel thoroughly, for them to, like me again. But, hey-ho, like I said last episode, a bit of a toxic relationship. These things happen. But anyway, we're going to move on now. The final bit of this episode, we're going to purchase a minor DRS upgrade there. So that's going to further help us in slipstream and DRS to make us faster in a straight line. And also, I'm going to do another simultaneous upgrade of the minor rear downforce on the top of that tree that I couldn't do last time because we had two going at the moment, and my contract only allows for 2 simultaneous parts. So we're going to do 2 minor upgrades, so that's going to take 1 week only, so we'll have 2 minor upgrades for the next time at the French Grand Prix, which is going to mean we're actually going to climb up quite a fair bit there on the table on the aerodynamics there. So doing some great work to turn around the weakness of this car and make it almost a strength of the car. So looking forward to that and seeing how we do around Paul Ricard. But guys, if you did enjoy this episode and the 3rd win of the season for Ferrari, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around, to subscribe for weekly F1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.